So you know the Tappan Zee Bridge is outdated and overcrowded. It has more than 138,000 vehicles on it every day, well more than it was designed to handle back in the late 40s, early 50s. Traffic jams and delays happen all too often, and one of the main reasons for that is the accident rate on the TZ, a 3.1 mile span, is double the average accident rate for the entire rest of the New York State Thruway system, 574 miles. The big reason for that is the lanes are so tight. The federal standard for highway lane width right now is 12 feet. There are some lanes that are only 10 feet on the Tappan Zee Bridge. Some of them go up to about 11. But it is a very tight road. It is a very unforgiving stretch of road. The grade up over the superstructure is about 3.5%, which is much higher than is currently allowed under federal rules. What that does, in reality, is trucks start to slow down. They go up over the main part of the span. Everybody winds up hitting their brakes, and you wind up with fender benders. There's no breakdown lanes or shoulders for those disabled vehicles or even for emergency vehicles to get through. So anytime there's a small accident, a flat tire, anything bad happens, it has a cascading effect. Thousands and thousands of drivers are affected. There are accidents on the Tappan Zee Bridge virtually every day. One study showed they average 3 a day. The amount already spent on the current bridge, maintaining it, is about $750 million over the last decade or so. $150 million of that is the redecking project you may have heard about. It's still going on today. It started back in 2007, but the good news is it's almost over. It is on schedule to be completed by the end of this year. If you've been stuck in traffic at night lately on the Tappan Zee Bridge, that is that redecking project. They are almost done with it. But that was one of the big ticket items that drove up this bill. An awful lot of money spent on that bridge. More than a decade, in fact about 13 years have passed since Governor George Pataki first announced plans to build the new bridge. Back in 1999, he went on WCBS News Radio and said, we're looking at the possibility of completely replacing the Tappan Zee because it is so old and does need such major repairs. Well, unfortunately, nothing really happened. They held 430 public meetings. There were 150 different concepts designed and $88 million spent on consultants, studies, and meetings, but nothing happened. It was all talk and no action. When Governor Cuomo got elected a little less than 2 years ago, he decided it was time to end all that talking and finally get something done. So with the help of the Obama administration, last year, in October actually, they created an accelerated but still comprehensive review process that actually incorporates all those past studies. The $88 million number is not wasted money. All that knowledge has transferred into the current project. So now we're talking about a bridge-specific project instead of a 30-mile corridor project, and I'll explain that to you in a minute. The governor pushed through up in Albany in the legislature an historic design build law that really changes the playing field when it comes to major public works projects. I'll explain that to you and how it should protect us from cost overruns and delays. We have a team of national and international experts working on this bridge, literally the best minds in the world. And this new bridge should last a minimum of 100 years before it needs any major structural repairs, such as that redecking project that's going on right now. In fact, the engineers tell me it should last 150 to 200 years. So this is a major investment, and we are going to have this bridge for a very long time. The latest news, just last week, the Federal Highway Administration came here to Rockland County, and they signed the official Record of Decision. That is basically the stamp of approval for the final environmental impact statement on the Tappan Zee Bridge project. 12 different agencies, state and federal, from the EPA to the National Marine Fisheries Service to the Department of Environmental Conservation in the state, all looked at the environmental impacts of this and all signed off on the bridge plan. It was a huge step forward that capped an 11-month process. That sounds like a long time, but the average time for a record of decision to be issued from the beginning of the environmental review to the actual signing of the document over the past 5 years or so has averaged 6 years. We did it in less than 1. But we didn't skip any steps. The federal government and the state agencies all worked together under orders from President Obama and the governor. They held daily and weekly meetings to make sure everybody was moving the ball forward. The plan includes comprehensive mitigation efforts to protect people who live near the bridge, sir. Also fish in the water and other wildlife. And this signing of this document that happened in South Nyack last week allows New York to move forward with the project. We still need to get some permits from the state DEC and from some other folks, and we have to work out some money issues, but this was a major, major step forward last week.